Happy Wednesday. We're excited to see you today. Today, we are going to be hearing from Kelli Rudd and Jacqueline Buckles of JB Hunt. We do have some of our supply chain club members here today as well. So thanks to Shay for coming and joining and bringing some people along with her. But they will be talking about JB Hunt and then some of the professional career and personal advice. So if you guys would like to go ahead, feel free to.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys joining us here today. We are a part of JB Hunt, and we wanted to spend some time, giving you a little bit of a company overview, as well as kind of our perspective of being, women in the transportation industry, as it obviously relates to your group here. So with introductions, I'll get started and then I'll pass it over to Kelli. My name is Jacqueline Buckles. I have been with JB Hunt for 8 years total. Currently reside in Columbus, Ohio. I've spent 3 years in DCS operations. University, I went to the University of Tennessee. As you can see behind me, it's there. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts in Business Communications. I didn't know what I wanted to do after school, so JB Hunt actually recruited me from the career fair there at Tennessee. So that's where I spent 3 years in DCS operations in our Southeast region in Atlanta, and then took an opportunity in HR here in Columbus, Ohio, which is where I am now. So, so that's a little bit about me, and if Kelli is ready, I will pass it over to her. I can't hear you. Try it now. All right. Cannot hear you. All right, we'll give her 1 second. Additionally, with my career, I've spent, 3 of which in DCS, like I mentioned. I started as a manager trainee, which is our 3 to 6 months rotational program where we bring in entry-level managers such as yourselves that are graduating directly from college, spend a little bit of time with different accounts within our region. I will say Dedicated is one of 4 main operational business units, so there's a lot of opportunity for us right now. It is our second largest revenue generating business unit besides our Intermodal, which I'm sure you've seen on the rails and maybe on the roads as well. So that's a little bit about my career starting, and then from there moved into what was then an operations supervisor, which is an entry-level management position permanently placed, and then promoted to account manager level, which is where Kelli is today. Do you want to try again, Kelli? No, I can't hear you.
You might need to change, if you click on the arrow next to your audio, change the microphone. Sometimes that is a problem.
Nope. So odd. I don't think I've had this before. Did you join with computer audio? Yeah. Nope. Nope. That's all right. I can move on. It's all good. I'll introduce you. This is Kelli Rudd. She has been with the company for about 3 years now. I actually remember when she first joined the company, it was when we were hiring rapidly for our new account, Amazon. I'm sure you all have heard the name. And so that is our largest account in the dedicated business unit throughout the entire company. We have over 250 drivers in that one account based in Columbus, Ohio, and Florence, Kentucky, where she's located. So we split them up. So she's been with us for 3 years. She graduated from Murray State University with a Bachelor of Science. And I was going to let her talk a little bit more about what she did before JB Hunt, if she can. I think she left and is coming back. So I'll go ahead and move on to the next slide here. So our mission statement, we've actually recently revamped this. It's simply creating the most efficient transportation network in North America. It used to be very long and very detailed, but that's our goal. If you have ever studied the transportation industry, there are quite a few companies within it. And anyone that owns a truck is a company per se in the transportation industry. So you can imagine there's quite a few companies out there. However, we are the largest intermodal provider in North America, as well as the largest dedicated provider in North America. So we're pretty proud to say that. We're about to hit $10 billion as a company in revenue. It was our goal to be 10 by 20. That was our short-term goal there. Of course, COVID hit. We didn't know what the heck was going on there. And then from there, we kind of had a little bit of a setback. But then from there, we were good to go. So let me see if she's joining us now.
She just popped back in, so
Okay.
I think connecting the audio.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it worked. Sorry about
Going
that. It
back
says it was working.
You can say more about yourself. I gave the basic.
Okay. So obviously I reside in Florence, Kentucky. I've been with JB Hunt for about 3 years, but I've been in the transportation industry for about 7 years. I was with a competitor before here. I actually got my degree in something completely unrelated, exercise science. So I did nothing with my degree, but I actually love transportation.
Cool. All right, I already said this, so I'm going to let you go over this one.
Okay, so JB Hunt is a 56-year legacy in the transportation industry. We have over 500 locations across the U.S., Canada, Mexico, 30,000 employees. We're a Fortune 400 company and over 9.6 in revenue, and that was just for last year. Obviously, this year hasn't closed, so we don't have this year's data. But we're actually in different segments, so we're divided between just basically different specialties. So first we have dedicated, which is going to be, things that are going to one certain customer, final mile. So I mean, that's like the last leg of it. So like home delivery type things. Integrated capacity solutions, which we call ICS, which is anything you think of like brokerage. That's our brokerage division. Intermodal, so rail containers like you think of, and then truckload is your traditional like over the road trucking like you think of back, in the 1920s. So we'll kind of get into a little bit of all of them. So dedicated contract services, which we call DCS, which is what I'm in. We're basically experts in private fleet management. So we go to a customer and we say, hey, I think that we could run your business a little more efficiently than, you have brokering it out. Here's what we can offer you and here's our prices. We're always investing in safety and technology. We actually have the largest dedicated fleet of over 11,000 trucks, 28,000 trailers, and 12,000 drivers. And our retention rate with customers is actually fantastic, 98%. So when we usually go in and get a customer, we keep them. So I mean, if we go to, Kroger tomorrow and say that we want to keep that, we want to work with them and we end up getting that customer, we're pretty much going to be able to keep them because we pride ourselves in DCS. And then we also have specialized equipment. So, I mean, we do more than just the regular truck and trailer that you think of. So like refrigerated trailers, flatbeds, box trucks, everything like that. So we don't just do the traditional tractor trailer. So this is just some of our DCS customers. They're some of our bigger ones. I'm sure you guys recognize a lot of these. Family Dollar, Tyson, Office Depot, Pet Supplies Plus, Goodyear, TPG, Toyota, Amazon, Home Depot. Those are a lot of our big customers. I'm actually on the dedicated account for Amazon. So I'm on a 260 truck account. So we have 260 drivers, 260 trucks, and we run just Amazon freight. So right now we're in the middle of super busy season, as I'm sure a lot of these other people are, as you know, supply chain shortages and things like that. But we have more customers in this. These are just some of the big names that you guys may recognize.
All right, I'm going to dig into final mile a little bit more. As Kelli mentioned, this is more of the last mile of service. And when you think about that, you know, we're delivering into people's homes mainly in this business unit. So you're thinking the big and bulky things that need to be in as well. So washers and dryers, all appliances essentially, and really those right before you get to the consumer right then and there. So it's residential and commercial. We do a lot of job sites. So if you think of apartment complexes that have, you know, a large job site going on, they all need washers and dryers. They all need, you know, microwaves, etc. We do a lot of those in final mile as well. Nationwide coverage, again, similar to DCS, we have about 150 locations of final mile throughout the country. Again, that white glove service and the omni-channel solutions for both e-commerce and brick and mortar shippers. So it doesn't have to be a specific store. It can be someone that's online as well. And then predictive delivery. JB Hunt 360 is an app that we as a company came up with a few years ago. If you think about Uber Freight or something along those lines, that's similar to JB Hunt 360. From the brokerage side, for any carrier that wants to obtain our customer-based freight, they're welcome to look online and see what's available to them, as well as our customers. They can look online and see where their loads are and pretty much predict when they're going to be delivered. So intermodal, as we mentioned before, is our containers that go on rail. That is the basics of intermodal. You know, we didn't come up with this one until the 90s. And before then, we thought that intermodal was our competition. So it either goes, freight either goes on the rail or it goes on the road. And we decided to create a partnership with the owner of the BNSF and start that partnership really. And it took off. It's now our largest revenue generating business unit at today. So over $2.5 billion in revenue currently. We also have the world's largest company-owned container and chassis fleet. That number is well over 100,000 now. And we have the largest drayage fleet of 6,500 drivers. So a little bit about intermodal is it does go hand in hand with our truckload group, depending upon cost. So if you think of fuel cost, if fuel costs go down, we tend to gravitate more towards intermodal. When fuel costs go up, we tend to gravitate, opposite to that. We tend to gravitate more towards intermodal when fuel costs go up, because of course that's taking things off the road and putting them on the rail instead. So that helps our customer cost as well. Scalable capacity to meet commitments. Again, just because we have the nation's largest intermodal fleet, it is our competitors are way below that. We've pretty much saturated the market there. And we've helped with containers equipped with tracking. So if someone gets lost, or potentially we know that a customer is holding on to a container for too long, maybe they're using it as storage, then we can track that and help that as well. Like Kelli mentioned, truckload, that was what we were founded on. So if you think of your typical over-the-road drivers, that's what that is. World-class safety practices and technology, I'd say that goes for every one of our business units. We have quite a bit of investment in technology, especially safety equipment technology in the trucks, such as forward-facing cameras, collision mitigation systems, etc. So that's equipped in all of our JB Hunt owned equipment. We have over 2,000 tractors in truckload, and 7,100 trailers with the tracking as well. So this one, like I said, complementary to intermodal depending upon pricing of the market, when your customer needs the load delivered, etc., and of course, fuel costs. Lastly, ICS, Integrated Capacity Solutions. This is our brokerage. So ICS works with all of our other business units to help whenever a customer has a need. We can reach out to ICS to help our customers cover the load that maybe our dedicated or intermodal fleets can't do at that time. They do a lot of specialized equipment as well. It is cost savings through shipment consolidation, depending upon where the market is at that point. Streamlining supply chains as well. And again, this one is very JB Hunt 360 heavy in terms of app usage, because there are quite a few carriers that use our app to maintain and obtain freight for themselves. Support service teams, all your typical stuff that you would see at any corporation. Obviously, HR is the best, but that I'm a little bit biased. We have quite a bit of safety in our field. Safety is one of our main differentiators, which we're about to get to. And then all these other things that you would typically see are based mainly at our corporate offices, which are in Lowell, Arkansas. So if you have any interest in these and maybe you want to head over to Arkansas, maybe you want to explore something new, that option might be available to you as well. So like I said, we have 6 differentiators that we feel differentiate us from our competitors. Value, sustainability, technology, innovation, safety, and people. We hear sometimes when even managers and drivers come over from different competitors that maybe their safety culture wasn't there beforehand, and it's very obvious that JB Hunt, that is front of mind for the majority of everyone in our company. Technology, like I said, we've made major investments, over $500 million in the past 5 to 6 years within our technology space. One of the buildings you see on the screen kind of in the background is our new training and technology building at corporate. That helps us obviously train our people, make them better than our competitors. And that's why they're one of our differentiators. Innovation, I think, goes hand in hand with technology and sustainability. We now have a chief sustainability officer that's focused on our sustainable efforts as a transportation company. It's our due diligence to do that, whether that be the type of trucks that we use, where we've made an investment with Tesla and are trying out some of their electric trucks and seeing how that's going to be in the future. Of course, we always have to be looking forward in those types of ways. Our emissions outputs, even what we're using in terms of electricity. And I guess we did a major investment in some solar panels at corporate recently, to where most of our energy usage there is going to be through solar panels. So that's coming up very soon. And then innovation, we do have a program at JB Hunt called Elevation. And what that is where anyone from a driver to the CEO of the company can submit an idea, a process improvement, maybe a change that needs to happen, etc. And those that are implemented successfully get, obviously they get all this recognition, Wall of Fame, all that good stuff. But it's constantly innovating our processes simply from the people that are here and how they're contributing in that way. And then value, within JB Hunt, we've patented a model called customer value delivery. And that is where it's a continuous cycle of making sure our customers know the value that we are giving them, and making sure that we are helping them in whatever they need. We have to understand their need, obviously deliver those results, and then continue that process moving forward. So these are our 6 differentiators. Wanted to stop there. Did anyone have any questions on anything so far? Or Kelly, did you have anything to add?
No, I'm good right now. If anybody has any questions, that's fine.
I did have a question with your elevation program. So we have been doing a lot of reading in one of my leadership classes about Ed Catmull, the founder of Pixar, and how he uses just-in-time the idea of just-in-time manufacturing where like each person within the company can be able to come forward and like submit ideas, how it's similar to Elevation. How successful do you think that program is within your company?
I'd say it's very successful. Every time, I believe we do it once a year, and every time we stop and take a look back at who's been successful in implementing a new process, it's been at least 20 to 30 people throughout the company. And that's saved us, I would say, probably millions of dollars at this point. So yeah, very successful. I don't know where we are at this very moment, but I can tell you that throughout the past few years that we've had this for about 5 years now. It's been very successful. So yeah, there's something to say about accepting ideas from every level within the company. And you would think, drivers probably don't have ideas, they're drivers, but they're the ones out there that are doing all of the work in terms of delivering. And so they probably have some of the more, influential ideas than maybe someone that's an executive level. So yeah, I think it's really good. All right, I will continue on. So something I wanted to highlight here, obviously, and especially with this presentation, is that you think about a transportation company and you think, you have a certain image in your mind, right? And that's something that we're trying to kind of work away from, if that makes sense, not only from a background perspective, but a diversification of thought perspective. So one way we've been able to do that is through our employee resource groups. And on the screen, you can see we have 5 of them right now. Emerge, which is for African American employee resources. VERG, which is our veterans group. GROW is our women's group. LEAD is our Latinos group, and PLUS is our LGBTQ group. So some of these we've had for years, some of these we've just created in the past couple of years, but it's definitely encouraged more diversification within our company, which only makes us better. Our company was born and raised in rural Southeast area, so it's traditionally not what you see, especially from our transportation mindset here. And so this is only making us better. So additionally to this, we have also recently created a group of inclusion strategy within our company. So we have SVP down of inclusion strategy, which is something that we're really going to be focusing more on in the future as well. Not only the people that we have now, but how do we recruit diverse talent, include everyone within the company, et cetera. So really excited to see where that goes in the near future. All right, so our last slide here is for you all. If you all are upcoming grads in the next year or so, we'd love to talk to you further about your interest potentially within the transportation industry. With JB Hunt specifically, of course, we'd be a little biased. We want you to come to our company. We do have quite a few IU and IUPUI grads within the company, I will say. These are a couple of our major schools that we go to. Of course, being in Columbus, I go to Ohio State a lot too, but we're not going to talk about that. But specifically, for those that are upcoming graduates, our manager trainee program, what I spoke about with my career, what I started with, that would be one of your better routes to take. And that can be not only within dedicated, but intermodal and final mile as well. If you're open to relocation, the opportunities are endless. We're scattered again throughout the entire country in all different business units, as well as again at corporate, quite a few options there as well. If you're not graduating soon, maybe you're graduating in 2 years or so, we do offer internships as well. We do have some locations around the Bloomington area. So we have Seymour, Indiana. We have one of our major customers there, Pet Supplies Plus. And then of course in Indianapolis, we've got quite a few different ones that you can choose from there as well. So, all right, with that, does anyone have any additional questions?
I can go first. So the main question I wanted to ask is, obviously you see trains pass all the time, and I've never really thought about what's on them. So what are the most common things that you guys ship with your intermodal shipping process?
Yeah, that is a great question. It could be anything, to be honest. Probably some of the most common things we ship are goods, materials, things that you'd see in stores. Amazon does a lot of intermodal freight. Kimberly-Clark, you think toilet paper and paper towels and those types of things, also very popular with our intermodal group. Home Depot is one of our major customers, so anything that Home Depot ships. We've recently started to go into the temperature controlled units for intermodal, not as common as like for dedicated, for example. That's fairly common in our food group. But if it's temperature controlled, you can almost guarantee it has to do with food. So we've tried cars before. We've kind of backed out of that. It's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more risky. When you do have damages there, it's going to cost a little bit more. But yeah, those are the main things that I would say that you see within our intermodal group specifically. Kelli, did you want to add maybe what we see more so in dedicated?
Dedicated, we pretty much call freights of all kinds just because we ship everything. I mean, like if, for example, with Amazon, what can you get on Amazon? Just about anything. So, I mean, we ship pretty much everything. Home Depot stuff, car parts, Toyota is another big one. It's just about everything, and anything you can think of, you can pretty much ship.
Yeah. I mean, any customer that you see or you saw on our screen, that was probably a fifth of the customers that we have just in the central region alone, which is about 12 to 1,400 drivers total. And dedicated is just one business unit of JB Hunt. So we have 30,000 employees, 20,000 of which are company drivers. So you can imagine we're constantly shipping a lot of things. And a lot of people don't know JB Hunt. You wouldn't recognize it until maybe this presentation. You're like, oh yeah, I saw that on the road the other day, this scroll looking thing. But sometimes you don't even see our logo and it is us. So in certain customers, you would, especially in dedicated, you see in the contract, they want their brand on the trailer, and we do that. And then you might see a little square on the truck side saying operated by JB Hunt Transport, but you would never notice that. You're looking at the wrapped trailer and the Anheuser-Busch logo on it. So, it's something that you don't think about a lot, but it is something that's happening constantly around you just to make sure, shelves are stocked, etc. And yeah, that's kind of what we do.
So it seems like that with the wrap then that you find more benefit from the actual contracts companies than the brand recognition that you would get from like someone just driving down the street. Is that correct?
I'd say that's a fair statement. Yeah, it depends on the customer really. But the way that we're recognized with our customers is the CVD, the customer value delivery, bringing the service that they want to them, and then word of mouth. When our customers learn that we're giving them good service, we're not going to be the cheapest provider out there, but we're hopefully going to be the best. And so they're getting their money's worth is what we like to say. So yeah, you're exactly right in which, okay, we might have a JB Hunt truck rolling down the road, but if you don't know what that is, then it doesn't help us. But, for our customers, if that's what they want on their trailer, then absolutely that's what they're going to get. So.
I have a question in regards to like the supply chain issues and driver shortages. Are you guys seeing a lot of driver shortages, and like what changes did you see during COVID?
Kelli didn't see any driver shortages. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, kidding. I did.
I will let her talk to that.
So during COVID, my account, specifically Amazon, we did not see, there was no stopping during COVID. So if anything, we were getting busier. People were only ordering for Amazon instead of going to the store, which, we get. So if anything, we kind of started to ramp up. So normally our peak season is from November through the end of Christmas. And our peak basically ramped up during the beginning of COVID. And we haven't really stopped much since. Amazon just said, give us all the drivers you can get. So we've just kind of had to get creative with our recruiting. So as a company, they've done different things, and just our account, we've done different things, trying to market our schedules differently. So, instead of saying the traditional what we need, sometimes it's just changing some things up so we can keep some interest. So changing the wording in our postings. And then we've also added an entry-level program. So previously, we only hired people with 3 months experience or more. And then some accounts were more. Sometimes you had to have 6 months or more, just depending on the account. But once the driver shortage hit, we were seeing that we couldn't afford to, do that. So they came up with an entry-level program. So now we're hiring drivers right out of school. So as soon as they go through CDL school, they can apply to our entry-level program, go through a program. And then they also just announced last week that if you refer a friend or family member, we will pay for your school, like if you sign a commitment card type thing. Like there's a lot of companies that do that. So we're just basically trying to get creative, try different postings and offering more money and trying to entice people.
Kelli, what are you seeing with sign-on bonuses right now? What's it up to at this point?
15,000.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I almost want to go get my CDL, honestly, because I don't need experience. So, okay.
Yeah, it pays out over the course of about a year and a half, but it's a lot. We're trying to entice people, but not as many people are getting their CDL. So we're hoping this will pique the interest, and it has. We've gotten a couple entry level people.
What's your typical W-2 for your driver these days?
When the account first started, it was about 64,000. Now we're at about 92,000.
Wow. So in about 3 years.
Yeah, in just 3 years, that's how much the market has changed.
Yeah.
And in our account, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's one of the easier ones. We're not a specialized account. We're not flatbed. We're not refrigerated. You don't have to have any specialized training. It's mostly just drop and hook. The drivers don't have to load or unload. They just, pick up the trailer and drive it down the road and drop it off. So, that kind of tells you a lot about the driver shortage.
Yeah. And a little bit more background, Jay, about our driver recruiting. We have a whole floor of employees at corporate, about 400 to 500 employees simply in our driver recruiting business unit. So anything from background verification specialists, marketing to drivers, calling drivers, people that have recently left the company, calling them the next day and asking if they want to return. It's kind of crazy right now, especially from an HR perspective, because, we have situations where we have to terminate drivers, whether that be a safety situation, a policy related situation, what have you. And it's kind of like, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because you want to keep them held accountable, but at the same time, you need them to deliver your freight. Do you hold them accountable to the attendance policy, or do you just let them go and hopefully they show up? That's better than not showing up at all. Or being late is better than not going at all. So that's kind of like, those are some of the challenges we're facing these days, especially our frontline management teams like Kelli's in, because that's very difficult. And how do you set a precedence and keep that going if you have to be lenient? So just some things to think about.
Thank you. That was a good response.
Problem.
I have a question. So what happens if a company doesn't get their product in time, like, does that fall back on you guys? Or like if you guys have a driver shortage, like how do you get the products to the company on time?
Yeah. First of all, great name. Second of all,
Thank you.
second of all, Kelly, what happens when you don't make an Amazon load? How much does that cost us?
It kind of depends, but a lot. I mean, it's more pressure from the customer. They want to know why we failed and what we're gonna do differently. So, I mean, if we're not gonna get to our number of drivers that were required, what are we doing to get to that number? And if we can't get to that number, what Amazon wants us to do is basically broker out freight at our cost, because they asked us to be at a certain number. You're required to be at that number. We need the freight. So in Amazon particular, on-time service is huge. So we actually have people in the office who are dedicated to watching where the drivers are and if they're going to be on time. And if they're not, we have to notify Amazon and basically initiate a recovery. You know, who's going to get that freight so it can get there in time? Because Amazon, as you guys know, is, 2-day delivery. Some places 1-day delivery. So they have a customer promise that they have to fulfill, and they're our customers, so we have to fulfill that promise as well. So sometimes it means reaching out to, other accounts to help us out. Sometimes it's reaching out to our brokerage division to help us recover a load. We just got to do what we got to do to get it there.
Okay, well, if no one has any other questions, we can wrap up this session for the day. If you guys do, like always, have any questions afterwards, I can send them over to Jacqueline and Kelly, get an answer from you, and then send it right back. But thank you, Jacqueline and Kelly, for coming today and dedicating some of your time to letting us learn about JB Hunt. We will definitely show this presentation to our members who couldn't be here, and then kind of gather some questions if they have any and send them your way. But again, we just appreciate your time and thank you for coming out today and giving us some more information.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And then for